afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Suit Up Geek Fix podcast. I'm your host, Lo, representing sunny California. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcellus Durden. On the East Coast, representing Philly, we got Dibes at Mr. Crockpot. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Good soldiers follow orders. Is that like Disney went? Star Wars went there this week. Let's talk about it, boy. Let's go.
All right, let's dig in. So if you guys don't know, right now, live, we are reviewing episode 3 of The Bad Batch, Star Wars back in full swing on Disney+. If you're not aware, this episode was titled Replacements. And can I just say, to kick things off a little bit, the first 15 minutes of this episode, I wasn't really it was clinging to life for like a 6 score barely. I wasn't really vibing with it. I didn't care for the low light planet. Even the TV I was watching on, I had a hard time kind of seeing what was going on during some sections there. But holy shit, 17 minutes in, we got some really interesting stuff going on. Spoiler, by the way, if you're watching.
Spoiler.
This is a full spoiler review. It got a lot better, and the ending honestly made up for the lackluster beginning. I wouldn't say it's my favorite of the season so far, but for you, Dibes, what is your first impression of Replacements?
If you had episode 1, feeling like just right after the Clone Wars, you had episode 2 that was ripped straight out of Star Wars Rebels. I felt like this one was ripped straight out of The Mandalorian. You know, that episode where they crash land on that ice planet and deal with the ice spiders and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was kind of a run-of-the-mill episode. However, I still enjoyed it. I thought Wrecker and Hunter fighting Omega for dad status is really fun. But overall, this was kind of a pit stop to the overall arc. I'm still waiting for that shoe to drop for that big arc to see where we're truly going in this episode. Because just like episode 2, the end of episode 3, I really don't know what's going to happen next in episode 4, 5, and beyond. I think for the first time, everything going down on Kamino, everything going down with Crosshair and his new elite squad was much more interesting than anything we saw from the Bad Batch this week. I really like that we're getting into the Stormtrooper stuff. We're going to be talking about that. I just thought that this episode was really dark. It was really for the first time ever, that good soldiers follow orders quote scared the crap out of me. And I was like, whoa, I'm Crosshair scares me. That's my short take.
Just to kind of jump off of that, as I established in our past reviews, Crosshair was my favorite member of the Bad Batch. So to see what he did this time around, just cold-blooded, man. Especially that first character that was like, I don't know anything, and he just shot him mid-sentence. He was like, yeah, well, you'll be no use to me then, or something like that. Minus the low light setting of the planet they crashed on, it was also dark in the more literal sense. I mean, figurative and literal. Sorry. You guys know you know what I'm saying. What's up, Geekly Goods? If you guys don't already, like and subscribe to Geekly Goods. Check out geeklygood.com. We got all kinds of game reviews, movie reviews, and I did not finish it by today. Sorry about that, Leo, but I do have a Clone Wars episode guide coming. It'll come before the end of the Bad Batch. You'll have plenty of time to catch up if you're not familiar with Star Wars animation. But yes, Leo, with dark episode, we just talked about it, and it sucks because Crosshair, like I said, was my favorite. I think it's going to be interesting to see where his arc finishes, because I see it going one of two ways. Maybe his inhibitor chip snaps and he makes decisions for his own, but I'm actually scared that he turns dark on his own. And then what's interesting, I like that they did humanize him a bit, because he's been kind of one-sided in terms of his darkness. But I liked that when he got back to Kamino, he looked at the bunks of the Bad Batch, and you could tell he was kind of missing his brothers a little bit. So I appreciated that expanding on Crosshair's arc there a little bit.
If there was a take on this episode, we have Leo saying, spoiler alert, Crosshair is savage. All I'm going to say is civilians. We touched Loretto touched on that just prior. And I thought they were building a redemption arc for Crosshair. Now I'm not so sure. Everything this episode, at least to me, on the surface, it looks like this is going to end really bad, not only for everyone on Camino, but for Crosshair and obviously the clones in general, because I think everyone knows where this is moving forward. Leo says, I don't think the inhibitor chip is working for him. I think the Kaminoans are BSing a little bit. Dude, I would love it.
Thought.
I would love it so much if like the inhibitor chip is like fine, or I mean it's broken, and it is Crosshair who's actually making the decisions to stick with the Empire. I think we're seeing kind of that Falcon and the Winter Soldier element here in this where, and I said, how many times have I said this, Loretta? Like Star Wars and Falcon and Winter Soldier, it thrives when it touches on those gray areas where not everything is right and not everything is wrong. And it's in this gray area that I would love to see the clones kind of like dictate, the whole thing about free will and the whole thing about making a choice. That's what I love to see with these characters. And I love that we're getting another character development episode where we're deep diving. Like this is my like favorite part of Star Wars, like where we're in this part of the galaxy and we're kind of like peeling the layers of everything that's going down, but more so for Crosshair, like you can tell like that he's got this like internal dilemma going on. Like he's witnessing, like he's got that entire point of view that the Empire wants him to act like a battle droid. They want him to act like not a clone, not a human being. They have no free will. They have no moral compass. I just find it really fascinating. I love the introduction of a new elite task force. So I like that we're getting into that. The Empire sees these people as just shields. They don't really care. The Empire doesn't care about these people. And I just love the fact that Crosshair is actually the one that's going to start the downfall of the clones. That is just a really fun thought.
Yeah, 100%. And I also feel like the saving grace of this episode is solidifying the mesh between Omega and the Bad Batch, but also, like you said, Dives, I think by the end of this season, we're going to be wrecked. We're going to be fucked. I don't see this ending well, and it's like they're building up this little family. It kind of reminds me of like Guardians of the Galaxy a little bit, and I really enjoyed that Omega got to prove herself once again with Hunter being indisposed, once again proving her worth. And I also like that she didn't have to prove it in a like macho type of way. She just did it with her instinct and her bravery. I thought that was a good character development for her. And your boy Wrecker, man, he came through with some real character development this episode. We're like 7 episodes in now with these characters, and to me, this is the best moment Wrecker's ever had. Real quick, that's your boy, so I want to know your thoughts on his shining character moment at the end of the episode.
Yes. If anybody doesn't know and you haven't been watching our reviews, like Wrecker was my favorite member of the Bad Batch in the Clone Wars. You could tell like Wrecker has this like low immaturity, and then Omega has this like high maturity, so they kind of like mix perfectly. Omega, she's great. I mean, she's awesome. But wait, let me go on to Wrecker. Wrecker was one of probably the best moments of this episode, at least I think. Other than Omega, like not Omega, Crosshair just being this like complete and utter badass. I got a lot of like brother sister vibes though between Wrecker and Omega. I didn't know where this season was going because I would have bet that we're going to be playing on that father-daughter relationship, just like we saw with Mandalorian and that father-son relationship. So it's interesting to see like how this plays out with Hunter and Wrecker and Omega's relationship. I can't. Oh, go ahead.
That's why I brought up Guardians of the Galaxy, because they're becoming a family. Wrecker's like the big hulking older brother that's kind of an idiot. Hunter's the dad, Omega's the kid. Tech and like Echo are kind of like the weird uncles, but they serve a purpose. It's just like there's a family dynamic here that I just love. And I want to touch on Leo's comment, but since we're kind of rolling off of, by the way, that moment was my favorite moment of the episode. So let's start digging into our favorite moments. What's up, Dives?
I just want to say, like, isn't it refreshing to have an awesome, epic, young Star Wars character? Because when you think about our first exposure to Ahsoka, when you think about our first exposure to Sabine Wren, like both of these characters just brats. Like they are not that enjoyable. I think what Ahsoka's overall arc is what makes her so much my favorite in Star Wars. But I just think it's a little refreshing that we have a character in Star Wars that is not like a little shit growing up. It's fun.
Dare I say Filoni has mastered this craft? Because I think with Ahsoka and Sabine, they were kind of annoying initially, but Omega's been wonderful from the start, and now we have AJ in the house.
What up?
Hey,
the champ is here. The champ.
All
is
right,
here.
so I want to dig right in because Leo's comment is actually pulling into one of my other favorite moments. Because my favorite moment was Wrecker building the room for Omega, but also I really enjoyed how fresh it was to bring in Admiral Rampart. Like, so let's just, for the people not watching, they're listening. Geekly Good says he likes Admiral Rampart, his initiative in bringing people to support the Empire. He said something like skills are valuable, but loyalty is everything. I really like Admiral Rampart too. I can't remember who the voice actor was, but he did a fantastic job. And I think there's a little bit of a track switch here, which is what I'm excited about. 2 episodes ago, I was asking AJ what he thinks about the villains coming in, and it seems like, is Tarkin leaving for good here? Because if he is, I like the introduction of Rampart. I like the fact that they're showing the first non-clone troopers of the Empire.
What do you mean
that is really intriguing to me.
On the good side. What do you mean by that?
What was that?
What do you mean by Tarkin's going on the good side?
No, that's not what I meant. I meant like it seems like Tarkin's kind of. Is this his final appearance of the season?
Oh, okay.
It seems like he's like, all right, well, you're in charge, Rampart, Admiral, and then he just left. Like, whoa, like.
But he's always done that. Like, hasn't Tarkin always like stepped in and like, I'm gonna delegate?
Yeah, it's so weird.
Well, the only reason why I brought that up, guys, is because it seemed like Tarkin was being built up as the big bad of this season, and it seems like we got a little bit of a plot twist here, and maybe he's not the big bad of this season. So, with that being said, AJ, welcome in. How are you, sir? And when you're done saying hello, let us know what your favorite moments of this episode are.
Hello, everybody. I just came from a run and on the beach after that, so
nice.
I'm feeling good.
Rocky 3, yeah.
Now, I'm a little late. I'm a little late. Watching Bad Batch because I was watching Castlevania season 4 all night last night, and it was amazing. But that's not what this is about. I'm a little disappointed with this episode.
I agree.
A little bit, just a little bit. I felt like last week's episode was more impactful than this week's episode. Omega, I will say this: Omega did have a lot to do within this episode, which I thought was perfect. Seeing her and Hunter interact a lot, and Wrecker as well. You mentioned this. One of the best parts was Wrecker building his room for her, and I really like that. And what else? The soundtrack is always amazing.
Kevin Kiner.
And I like the action. I could have used a little bit more action, but that's just me. But the things that we did get, I really did enjoy. And I also like how they didn't really dismiss Crosshair within this episode. I thought that it was a good little touch of them mentioning Crosshair a little bit, and Crosshair did get his moment, which was an awesome moment. So, all in all, I did enjoy this episode.
By the way, Tarkin's a fraud. Okay, can I just say how much of a fraud Tarkin is, man? This is a guy who thinks that the clones aren't good at what they do because they don't follow orders. Literally, because 4 of those clones out of like billions of clones didn't, their chips didn't work. That is not exactly the best sample size for an admiral to be making these decisions on moving on from the clones. And then he sees one of his non-clones get killed by Crosshair, a clone. So that play by Admiral Tarkin, I'm telling you, man, I respect Admiral Tarkin, but I expect better.
It's weird for me because Tarkin in the movies and in the cartoons, he's a little iffy because he's not shown as much. but he has such a big presence within like the comics and novels. Like there was one issue in the comics where he actually went up against Vader and almost beat Vader, and I thought that was I thought that was really cool to see.
Wow.
I have a question for you, Dives, but I want to save it because I actually want to know, do you have any other memorable moments before we press on?
Memorable moments. I mean, we touched on it. I guess we'll probably talk about the Death Troopers later. I think we pretty much nailed it. Talking about, and we'll get into predictions. So I'm good.
I have an interesting question for you.
Okay.
So another intriguing section of this episode, because to be honest, I wasn't loving it. Like I said, 15 minutes in, I was like, oh God, this one's really bad. But one part that I did appreciate, what do you make of Wrecker's headache?
Yes.
Is there a chance that he turns? Like, I thought it was going to happen at the end of this episode. I was waiting for it, but they didn't even mention it. So I'm thinking, is there more to his headache?
100%. Like Dave Filoni is so good at building up those little moments like that and having payoff. I would not be surprised, and I hope it's not true. I would not be surprised. Are we talking about predictions now? Because
Let's go right into it.
Should we now? I would not be surprised to see Crosshair redeemed and then Wrecker turned at that exact moment. We also have to remember Echo is working on, or is it Echo? Tech. Sorry, Tech.
He's working on trying to like figure out like what's up with their chips.
Yeah, and we also have Omega who can who understands all of that going on. So there could be like a sweet tender moment where Omega's like, wait a minute, something's wrong here, and helps him because Wrecker's like officially like her big brother now. So there's that, but there's definitely something in play where Wrecker 100% turns bad. I don't know, man. I think that would be a little redundant. You already had Crosshair go bad. I am not a fan of the trope where you're good, you're bad, you're good, you're bad. Like, I don't like that so much. I think Dave Filoni is aware of that. We'll see, though, man. That you definitely saw hints of that this week.
Hey, highlight Leo's comment real quick. I loved it as well, but I'm not gonna lie. Tech was pissing me off this episode because he was like working on the thing for the chips. He was like, "This takes precedent," and then they freaking fall out of the sky. Like, how does that take precedent over you guys flying? Like, just baffled me. But I guess they had to like throw in some sprinkles of this filler. Something had to happen to them, right? So Tech conveniently crashed them. What do you think, AJ? Do you think there's more to Wrecker's headache, or is it?
Absolutely. There's nothing else going on with that headache.
Okay.
It was already mentioned that he hurt his head within the crash, so I don't think there's anything like I'm gonna go with Dibes on this. I don't like the trope of a character going evil then good, then evil then good, and it just keeps on going forever and ever. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that with Wrecker. I don't think they're gonna do it with Crosshair. I think Crosshair is gonna stay bad. But I guess it would be fine to see how all of them to see how each and every single one of them are like. What is it? Wait, what is this?
No, question. Sorry, Leo's comment. That's a good question. So I'll say it out loud for the audience. Geekly Goods asking, is it possible there's too many episodes? He is scared the magic will fade.
Absolutely.
How many episodes, first of all?
So we're 3 episodes in. There's 7 left, right?
Yeah, it's not a lot. I'm not in agreement with people thinking that there's too little episodes or too much episodes. Like, you're not in the writer's room, so just don't worry about that. Try to just enjoy it for what it is, because you guys even had criticisms with this with WandaVision, thinking that was like too little episodes or not enough episodes.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I thought it was all well done for that series, and it's still continuing forward. So I'm just not in a camp of complaining about too little or too much episodes.
I agree with AJ. I will say though, for like the casual Star Wars fan, to have a filler episode, which this was a filler episode, like in a 10 episode season, that is definitely a drawback for. I mean, look at last episode, Cut and Dry. Like no one knew who the wanderer, the loner guy was. Like
The deserter.
The deserter. Like, so to be fair, like the casual fans would be like 3 episodes in, be like, okay. But for me, like I said, I love this corner of the galaxy, man. You could just keep it going. I'm
gonna put Mando on blast real quick. I'm gonna put her on blast. She's right now. She's not a fan of Bad Batch, which is fair because the animated Star Wars stuff isn't for everybody. Going too deep within the lore of Star Wars is not for everybody. Some people just want like the main course instead of like side stories and stuff. Like me and you guys, we like to go deep within the lore, and some people just want everything out there. Like in season 7 of Clone Wars.
Yeah,
nobody cared about what Ahsoka was doing. All they wanted was the action with Darth Maul, and that was it.
Yeah.
So,
but you're not going to get the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, man. Like that's such a high pedestal. Go ahead, man.
I don't know why we thought it was 10, but go down. I just looked it up myself as well. Leo's right. Wait, go down one. Yeah, I just looked it up myself. It's actually confirmed. It's actually 16.
Well, Clone Wars episodes were around that same per season. It was around the same amount of episodes.
I was gonna say, well, okay, so Clone Wars was 12, right?
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No, well, see, that kind of irks me a little bit. It's like I think if anything deserved to be 16 episodes, it was the final season of Clone Wars. I really hope that they bring more to the table here. I actually agree with Leo a little bit. I think that especially for who the Bad Batch are and for where we are 3 episodes in, like Dobbs was saying about casual fans and for us, I feel like how far can they stretch? How far can they? That thing's not meant to be up there. I swear.
No, it's funny.
How far can they stretch their story? What was it?
It's always the Bad Batch reviews that it falls down. It's so funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna save that for a better day, and I'm gonna secure it better. But anyways. My binary sunset behind me doesn't want to stay up, but what will stay up is I'm just saying, I feel like they're building up to a confrontation between the non-clone troopers, the elite squad of Admiral Rampart, and the Bad Batch. Obviously, between Hunter and Crosshair will probably be the climatic battle, but I'm wondering in between, with now that we say it, there's 13 episodes left. I just wonder how much more of this story can we stretch out. I mean, I know it's 30-minute episodes.
You can stretch it out.
There's a lot. There's a
lot you can stretch out.
AJ knows what I'm talking about. Project War Mantle is about to go down very, very soon. That's what you saw with Admiral Rampart. You're going to see, you saw kind of hints of that with, that discussion about, by the way, like the clones training, the recruits is so ironic and it's so interesting. But that's what you're seeing here is I love that we're deep diving into that transition going on and how it means for the Empire. So that's what this is. Like you look at canon, right, AJ? Like you look at canon, all the clones were dead. Like they're gone. So what does this episode mean? Is there going to be an uprising on Kamino? Could this mean that the Kaminoans are going to like recruit Fennec Shan to get Omega? Because you saw this, that everyone on Kamino are like, our plan's failing. We need to get a new plan. Bring in the original clone, whether that's Boba, whether that's Omega, and figure this shit out because they're on the out with the Empire. They're already out with the Jedi. So there's like 3 different weaves of stories going on right now. I'm loving it. I find it really interesting. But Admiral Rampart, Project War Mantle, that's really the focus really of these the next arc of stories.
You also have to remember that this is between Bad Batch and the Execute Order 66 and the beginning of the New Republic of the Force Awakens and all that. There is a good amount of gap to have closed out within those things. That's why I think that we're getting so many episodes to try to fill most of those gaps within that timeline. So
since we're in predictions, I'm actually starting to perky a little bit. I'm getting like a little bit of a brain blast, like brain blast. Um, predictions wise, who do you think else can pop up? We know Fennec Shan's confirmed, but I would love to see like what's her name from Force Awakens? Maz. I would love to see Maz Kanata, or like, if we're gonna really go there, I would love stuff like that, because she didn't get enough screen time in the sequel trilogy, and I loved her. I mean, obviously they can't get Lupita to be on this little show, but any other characters you guys would like to see?
I mean, I know we're getting Fennec. I would love to see Boba leading the charge in some sort of uprising. That would be really, really fun.
I don't see him doing that because at this time he either is still in the Sarlacc pit. No, not really. But he's not in there yet. Have his armor and all that yet.
No, so this is pre-New Hope.
Yeah, this is a New Hope.
I think he's earning his stripes as a bounty hunter.
Is it?
Yeah, this is pre-New Hope. This is like at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
All mixed up right now. You're right.
Oh yeah, like you see the Kaminoans like trying to go back to where it all started, and everything they've discussed about how the clones and copy paste, that whole genome and code is thinning out. They want to go back to the beginning. That is Boba, right?
The original is Boba Fett. Yeah,
Baby Din Djarin, I love it. Geekly Good says, "What if we see Baby Din Djarin?" I love it.
I wouldn't disagree with that actually. Since we haven't gotten his backstory at all.
I think that'd be a great tie-in, especially for casuals that loved The Mandalorian. That'd be awesome to tie in that show. I'm also getting into the brain blast, guys. So I actually think that Omega's the Kaminoans are looking for, but they obviously aren't warriors themselves. What if they hire Fennec to capture Omega?
100%. I was going to say that in my predictions, but that sounds
sorry, I took it from you.
You 100% nailed it. I was going to say that a little bit later, but that's how I see this going down is they need, an ace in the hole, and that's going to be Fennec Shan, that assassin to capture Omega. That's definitely a good bet.
Any thoughts, AJ?
No, I agree.
All right. Well, honestly, I mean, do we have anything else? I think that about does it. If I'm not mistaken. Anything else we want to touch on from the episode?
I think it would be really funny if like you see how they're gonna try and like clone one of the Bad Batch, whether it's Omega or someone else. But could you imagine if like Lamu Su took Crosshair? They took Crosshair and then genetically modified him and then sold new clones to the Empire of Crosshair. And then they get all this amazing shooting ability. And then the Kaminoans like modify it again and they can't shoot for shit. And that's how we get the stormtroopers. And they have no idea how to shoot anybody. That'd be really fun.
I was actually thinking that Crosshair might train these clones. And I think he'll purposely like make them bad and stuff like that. And now tie in with Tech helping out Crosshair with this the chip and try to reinforce it so that he won't be as like compelled to follow the rules and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot you can think about with this.
I think my last comment is I think everything here is boiling up to a decision that's going to be made, whether it's Hunter or Wrecker or the team combined. They either choose Omega or the clones, and they're going to eventually choose Omega, and that'll be the demise of the clones. I think that's where this is moving forward to.
Awesome, guys. All right, so let's get our final grades. AJ, final thoughts, and what would you grade this episode?
Like I said before, it wasn't as impactful as last episode. I did enjoy the action with Crosshair and the beginning of the Stormtroopers. And I also love moments with Omega and Crosshair and Omega and Wrecker and the character interactions between Tech and Echo. I thought that was pretty funny, much like what Loretto said. Those two together is a good thing. I don't think they'll survive after this series. I think they're gonna die.
All right, for everybody listening, Geekly Goods commented, "Will the Bad Batch survive this series?"
I think they're gonna die.
Same.
I
can see it coming, and I'm scared.
Before we get into that, my score is a 7 out of 10 for this one.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, Dibes, final thoughts, and what would you grade it?
7 out of 10. I think that's a really good score. Like I said, I think casual fans would probably like be lower than that, but I love this little pocket of the galaxy where we're continuing to build these characters. And like Leo said, like I'm just like the best thing that came out of this pod today was the fact that it's 16 episodes and not 10. I thought for sure it was 10 episodes, and I'm really happy about that because Friday mornings are really like peak Mr. Crockpot time. I just love it. I love it to death. So I love what we're building towards. There's a lot going on from Camino to the Empire to the Bad Batch to Crosshair versus Hunter to Hunter and Omega to Wrecker and Omega. There's a lot of really fun little side plots going on. I do not think the Bad Batch will survive this series. I think maybe one of them will, but I think that would be probably the best case scenario here. I do think there's going to be a sacrifice. I do think there's a redemption story being built. So all signs point to a lot of members of the Bad Batch biting it. And like we said, Loretto, at the beginning of this pod, like I thought for sure, like after episode 2, this was going to be your prototypical Star Wars story. But you look at Clone Wars, it's a tragedy. It is 100% a tragedy. You look at the Bad Batch. I don't see this changing. And after episode 3, my vibe is this is dark. This is going to be dark. And I don't think that's going anywhere. So I give it a 7 out of 10. I really love these characters. I think Omega is slowly climbing the ranks with Grogu, my boy. Omega is just awesome. They got a real moneymaker there. 7 out of 10 for me. Cannot wait for where this series goes.
Hey, well said, guys. Not gonna lie, like 15 minutes in, I was like below a 6. So the fact that I'm even gonna give it a 6.8 has to do with the ending. Also has to do with I liked the creature design on that moon dragon or whatever it was, but I just don't understand why almost the whole episode was pitch black. I'm glad I wasn't watching it on my phone because I probably wouldn't be able to see anything. I was fortunate enough to watch it on a TV today, and it's just I wasn't loving it for the most part. Like I said, the creature design on the dragon was cool. The emotional moment with the Wrecker and Omega was nice. I love the fact that Omega said, "I've never had my own room before," and those kind of details. It's heartwarming, and all the more reason I am going to be a mess when this all comes to a tragic end. Because we're starting to get attached to these relationships, like Wrecker and Omega, Hunter and Omega, and Echo and Tech, and I'm going to be so torn. I know it's coming. I think this is Filoni's Rogue One, if I'm being honest. Like I think they're all going. What's up, Debs?
We said this literally within the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, and we were 100% right. So I just want to give us some evidence, some data to back up our thoughts that this is going to end with a lot of tears.
Yeah, hey, it's a fact. Real quick, Lowe said I'm hard to please. I just have such high standards when it comes to Clone Wars. I know what Dave Filoni can do. And for the most part, minus Admiral Rampart and Wrecker, there wasn't a lot of redeeming qualities to this episode. They crashed. And the reason why I was so low in the beginning was it was done 5 million times in Mandalorian. It was like a creature feature, kind of like what you were saying, Dobbs, on one of our reviews. It was like Monster of the Week kind of thing. And I didn't think it fit this series if that's what the direction they were going to go. So when they were like outside looking for the dragon, in my mind, I was like, this is not a series for creature features and stuff like that, in my opinion. That was why I was so low to start.
It's a nod to how far we've come in Star Wars universe. Like, we're not in Clone Wars. We're not in Rebels anymore. Like the demand for excellence is here in Star Wars. Like that's Dave Filoni for you.
Well, that's the problem. Is like the highest highs of Rebels and Clone Wars, like the best moments it's really hard to please at this point now because they've treated us with such fantastic moments. Like AJ, you guys ranked Clone Wars and Rebels above some of the films, so I think that speaks for itself. You know, I have a very high standard when it comes to this animation. So
me too.
All right, so with that being said, AJ, what you got going on right now? Anything you want to plug?
Oh, podcast at Geeks Vibe Nation later on today.
Nice.
8:00. And
is it on YouTube or?
It's gonna be on YouTube. It's gonna be live on YouTube.
Check that out, y'all.
I am trying to get back into writing, but I keep getting distracted. But I am trying to get back into writing for Geekly Goods. I'll probably start my first review with Castlevania Season 4 because that thing was greatness. If you guys love Invincible, you guys will love Castlevania. That's all I would say. But that's it. Just a podcast.
Hey man, as a fellow writer, man, I hear you. Sometimes it's like you get into a little rut, you know. I get severe writer's block, so I gotta get myself out of it. But best believe I'm gonna get things cooking starting next week. So you guys can follow AJ at AJ_Geek Vibes, or there it is. AJ_Geek Vibes. Dibes, what's going on with you, my man?
Oh man, I got to join Geekly Goods and Friends on Tuesday. We broke down a lot of
great show, by the way.
That movie by Angelina Jolie, we watched it today. It was awesome. I forget what it's called.
Those Who Wish Me Dead or something like that?
Yeah, man. It was good, man. It was a really strong movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
I watched that tomorrow.
Yeah, I really recommend it. Other than that, man, make sure you follow the Twitter account here at The Suit Up Geeks. Follow us on YouTube at The Suit Up Geeks podcast, man. Please be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. We got another podcast dropping. We're talking about Saul versus Saul 6 is our next in line for our Versus series. And man, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not.
In about like 20 minutes, right?
Wait, when is it?
It's in 30 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, dang it. I was like, I probably can make that. I can watch 2 movies real quick.
I know. I need to watch Saw 6, so I might have to sit that one out. But maybe I'll sit in for the Saw talk. We'll see.
All right. Yeah, like I James Wan, he's right up there with my man, Guillermo del Toro, Jon Favreau, and I'm going to be shitting on it, and I don't like it. So
see, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Saw like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20. I only like the first 2, and I'm good. I'm good after that.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Marcellus Durden, and you can also like and subscribe to this channel right here. Anybody that's been watching, if you're interested in to learn more about the Clone Wars, I am writing an episode guide for the Clone Wars. It condenses the epic 7-season arc that unfolded, and it combines it for all the best ones onto one easy to follow article. You can just watch the most important episodes. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to premiere on geeklygood.com. For AJ, for Dives, and myself, we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Peace.